See how these are thinned here?
Mm-hmm.
Those are ones that I thinned. They haven't fallen off yet, but look at the difference.
So thinning
Yeah.
versus not thinned.
The problem with galas is sometimes the thin fruits don't drop. And then they become little mummies, which are disease vectors. That's the problem. Even these Jonathans, we got them thinned pretty well. See, here's one that's going to drop. And then the rest have kept growing. And they're spread out kind of nice. I mean, a little heaviness, but you need about 8 inches between fruits. But when you've got some blind space here, those leaves will feed these guys. So you need about 50 leaves per fruit, and that's how you want to get them thin, because each one of these had a cluster of 5 or 6 blossoms. And what we did was we were able to thin them down to the king bloom, and so you get the largest apple in the bunch. So you can see, if you look at the whole tree, that there's places where it looks a little bit crowded, but there's enough leaf volume to put sugars into all those fruits that are there. That we're well thin, and these fruits will size nicely. They'd certainly like a little rain, but that's why we're working on irrigation right now and getting the irrigation up and running again, because these trees need a lot of water right now since they're in production. These could have been thinned a bit more. You can see they're a little bit crowded, so we may hand thin some of these, and that's all you do is you pick them. It's pretty easy. You pick them and let them drop because they are green fruits and not usable. But if you pick some of these, like so, then it will let the remainders get much larger. When you have a cluster of fruits in the trees trying to support a cluster, these are about right here. So we did get some thinning, because that would have been a cluster of 6 or 7 fruits, and we got it down to the king bloom. But see here, that's a lot for those leaves to support. It'll support 2 pretty comfortably, so we'll take those off. Same here, you got a pair. I'll pull one of them. Yeah, the goal is 1 fruit for about every 8 inches of branch. See, like about right here, you got one there, you got one there. Here you got 2, but it's not too overcrowded. You got nothing on this one, so this one will feed that one. So the photosynthetic effect is that these leaves convert sunlight into sugar, and that sugar feeds these apples. That's why when you bite into this apple once it's ripe, it's full of sugar. The sugar came from the sun, converted within the leaves, and fed to the fruit. And the fruits will be sweeter if they're not too crowded. Sweeter and larger. So that's what we're doing. Doing a little bit of hand thinning. Now this branch is problematic. See, we need to prune it back to about here so that that branch can support the fruit. These fruits are going to end up on the ground, so I'm actually going to pull all of them off. Because on the ground they will start to rot, and that can get some disease into our tree. We don't want. I don't have a clipper with me, or I'd actually clip this branch. So if I happen to be driving by or walking by again and I have a clipper in my back pocket, I will clip this branch. But now, see, I've taken the weight off of it, so this guy should stay off the ground. This guy, we don't know yet. Here's one that's thinned pretty well. Again, this branch is too long, needs to be clipped, but it doesn't have any fruit. Here we've got a cluster of 3. If you got a cluster of 3 and not much else nearby, you can grow 2 close together and they'll grow to full size. And then this one's thin, and A lot of this tree is lacking fruit, but as you go around, you do see that it does have fruit. So there's more in here than you think. And that's the thing, if you have trees in your backyard, people tend to leave too much fruit on them because when the fruits are little and tiny, it doesn't look like much. But as they get size to them, like a tree like this looks almost bare to the naked eye when you walk past it. But it will actually have a pretty full crop because there's a lot more fruit hiding in there as I look closely than what you would think. And that's why I needed to thin this tree, because if I can see that much fruit when they're only about a quarter or so size in diameter, you know, the size of a quarter as a sphere, then that's too heavy. The fruit at this stage, and this thing is going to be dripping by the time these get large. Overall, we're looking really good this year. There's a few blank spots where we had too much fruit last year and they didn't come back with a return. And there's a few that are heavy, but overall we've got really nice distribution and good sizing this year. Thanks for watching.